Okay, welcome back to Nigland's Doctor Who reviews. This is episode number 9. This one is could be unusual. This one discussed several stories for Doctor Who because on one DVD. So I figured, though, why the heck not? A lot of these ones are really good Doctor Who stories. Almost all of these, except for one, are from New Who. Yes, not joking. I can talk about New Who. First up is one of my personal favorites, of course, the Cybermen DVD. Yes, it has some really good Cybermen stories in here. There's one that's actually not that good, and yet they included it in here for some strange reason. Don't know why, but they did. Yeah, that's the thing. It's actually my PS3, that one. First up, from David Tennant. I actually watched this as part of a marathon. This was one of the very first time I watched this. This is the Armored Darkness / Doomsday two-parter. This one is purely fantastic. This particular two-parter ended the second season of New Who. Yes, this was actually David Tennant's first ever year as a Doctor, so Series 2. And this mostly is a follow-up to the two-parter Return of the Age of the Cybermen. I think it was like Rise of Cybermen, Age of Steel, which I do agree with the opinion of the two-parter. The name should have been switched. Yes, the Age of Steel from Part 1, and the title for Part 2 should have been The Rise of the Cybermen. Why the heck they spoil the Return of the Cybermen in this two-parter with the first episode title made no frickin' sense. Now, yes, the Cybermen in the story. But here's something interesting, though, about the Cybermen. Okay, the Cybermen in this one are not the ones from Classic Who. They don't appear until later. This actually is the alternate universe Cybermen. The alternate universe Cybermen were created on Earth, not on Mondos like the original one was. This was created by Cyber Industries. They had like a C logo on their chest, almost like frickin' Cyborg from DC Comics. And the process of the cyberization is pretty much the same as it is regular universe, except with them with CGI. How they unveil the Cybermen is quite interesting. The guy who's the owner of the company just has him show up at a party he's having. Yeah, he's the one who created this universe Cybermen. Where it's like, oh, here are my new tin soldiers. And the Doctor sees him and it's like, it's the Cybermen. He doesn't have a big reaction to seeing the Cybermen. Not the case with Peter Capaldi. He has a much bigger reaction to seeing them. And of course, well, this of course is now here's the thing about this alternate universe. This is the world of the Republic of the United Kingdom. The same type of thing used in Inferno. This is just another version of it, per se. Yes. Except that here's something interesting though. The ruler of this country, well, I think it was one of the upcoming leaders, was in fact Pete Tyler, the alternate universe version father of Rose Tyler. This one's actually alive, and the one regular universe is dead. He died in a car crash. He got run over by a car. From what I read, and of course I watched the episode Father's Day. This happened during the first season of the show, where he died after getting some groceries. This was just after he had married Jackie Tyler, which in that universe, they were still married, but they had no kids. The only rose they had there was a dog. I'm not kidding about that. It was a freaking dog. Yes, and Mickey decided to stay behind in this at the end of this two-parter because Ricky, that's the alternate universe version of Mickey, who in that universe is gay. I am not kidding. She's gay. Well, he's gay, excuse me. Or she. So they stay behind. So the Doctor, of course, is still traveling with Rose Tyler. This particular two-parter is the end of Billie Piper's time on New Who. Yeah, at the end of this two-parter, she leaves the show, though she comes back sporadically. As for why she left, I've never heard of the exact reason why, per se. It's just she left after just 2 seasons. But hey, at least she was the companion for two Doctors in a row. Kudos. Now, in this two-parter, They're actually investigating, like, they come back home after being gone for a while. They do some laundry, and they see on TV there's these mysterious ghosts pop up out. Yes, it's ghost. And then they track the source of this thing to Torchwood in Cardiff. Yes, Torchwood. There have been frequent mentions of Torchwood throughout season 2 of New Who. And we finally see it. And this is actually the main headquarters of Torchwood, referred to in the Torchwood TV show as Torchwood 1. Yes, where I think her name is Vinica, She's the one in charge of it. She's a very lovely woman. I'm like, damn. It is by far such an interesting one, this one. Let's see, where is it? Here it is. It's, I think it's Yvonne. Yes, Yvonne. She's actually the head of this group. Now, they turn on, it's sort of this ghost shift type of thing. Like, oh, and they do the whole thing in this one of, like, the Ghostbusters theme they throw in here because, and a woman's like, oh yeah, I married a ghost. I'm like, whatever. So, oh, and I was looking at the credits thing like, oh, yes. This is also the first time Freeman Ogman appeared in the series, though this is a different character she's playing. I have heard now there was an explanation of why in the world Martha Jones looks like her. Aside from the fact they play with the same actress, they retconned that this one from this two-parter is actually her cousin. Yes, no joke about that. That's seriously true. So, basically, so they open up the negotiate a little bit more because somebody's been forcing them. Excuse me, also these mysterious like sounds with chainsaws going on here. And they open up all the way, and Charlie the kills actually the Silk Universe Cybermen. Yes, this is a great cliffhanger to end part 1. Meanwhile, though, Rose is basically wandering about Torch headquarters because Torchwood took TARDIS with Rose inside of it. Also, Jackie's there as well, just cause. And then eventually comes across this mysterious room with this orb, which apparently no sensor can read it. And then all of a sudden, because apparently the images of the rift between universes are opening, then this spear opens up, and by far another good piece of good cliffhanger stuff on the parts. I think it was Steve this, where a group of 5 Daleks pop out of this thing. Yes, 5 freaking Daleks. I'm like, this is Earth. Yes. Yep. And this is, of course, later revealed in part 2. This is the Code of Skaro. Yes, a reoccurring Dalek faction. Yes, a Dalek faction in New Who. They appeared in this two-parter. They also appeared in two-parter in Series 3, which all of them got killed except for Dalek Khan, who later popped up in the end of Series 4 in the Stolen Journey's End, which brought back Debros. Yes, and the name of these characters is quite interesting. Like, actually it was 4 Daleks, excuse me. So, these Daleks are referred to as, well, the Code of Skaro. The names of these guys are Dalek Sec, Dalek Fang, Dalek Khan, Dalek Jest. Yeah, it's quite interesting though. Oh yeah, and they mentioned about, this is actually the Rose's second encounter with the Daleks because she counted in the previous season. And I gotta hand it to Davis. This actually was really good. So they revealed that how in the world now the Cybermen are wondering, like, the Doctor's wondering, how the heck did you get this stuff? Which is a really good question. He says, it was not our technology. We just simply walked through. And you're like, not your technology. Then who? Then of course the Dalek show. And it turns out, yeah. Oh yeah. By the way, the kind of the 5th Dalek was actually a Dalek prison, which is based upon Time Lord technology. And like, wow, that's something. Yes, Dalek, Time Lord technology. So, apparently the Daleks become a bigger threat than the freaking Cybermen. And then they meet each other for the first time ever in the history of Doctor Who. We have the Daleks and the Cybermen ever on screen. I'm sure probably Richard Davis was loving this. It's like, he's probably telling BBC higher up, say, can we have a two-parter where we have the Dalek and the Cybermen fight each other? And like, sure, go ahead. Fans waited long enough, so let's have it happen. So then we have this really interesting meeting. We have the Cybermen show up, and we have, like, there's one in the hallways because Cybermen take over the facility, take over Torture 1, and of course take over the freaking planet. Yes, so, and of course then they introduce each other. He's like, identify yourselves, and you're like, identify yourselves. And he's like, we are the Daleks, and it says, we are the Cybermen. And when they find him, you are the inferior species, the inferior species known as the Cybermen. We will exterminate you. And of course, they fire at each other. And I think the Cybermen get killed. Which, okay. Okay, Davis, I get the fact you're fanboying over this, but man, it is quite something. And then the Doc comes with an interesting idea. Team with the Cybermen and then take on the freaking Daleks. Like, okay. And of course, the Daleks, and of course, Mickey does accidentally touch the prison, which unlocks this whole bunch of Daleks. Like, how many Daleks are there? Oh, thousands. Oh my gosh, thousands. Spread over freaking Cardiff. And then, of course, Torture 1, which they team with alternate universe, like, people who work with Pete Tyler. And this turns into a massive war zone where, because of a humongous battlefield, we have the Cybermen and Daleks fighting each other. So awesome. And of course, also on the side, though, the rift is basically causing the universe come out of flux. So they need to close it. And of course, these special devices, they transfer all back. Of course, Rose basically transfers to jump with Jackie. And then, of course, they close the rift. Of course, Rose gets trapped there. Yep, Rose gets trapped there. And of course, like I said, Doctor said, and then she says, they go to this place called Bad Wolf Bay in Norway, of all places. And of course, they have of course, Jackie is feels she's pregnant with a boy. Like, oh yeah, call him Doctor. No, call him Tony. By the way, we never find out what happened to this baby because I believe this is the last time Jackie herself was ever seen in the series. Rose herself appeared several times since then. Jackie herself, no, she never returned. Nope, never did. In the case of Mickey, he did return. He returned in Stolen Earth / Journey's End at the end of Series 4. And then, of course, at the end of this two-parter, then we have this mysterious bride show up, and it's Donna Noble making her first appearance in the series. And the Doctor's like, what? What? By the way, he does the same thing in Series 3 when pieces of the Titanic pop up in the TARDIS. Which, okay, that's actually interesting thing, though. He didn't do this at the end of Series 4, he just did it in Series 2 and 3. Yes, Army of Ghosts and Doomsday is a great two-parter. From Peter Davison, I'm thinking Peter Davison because David Tennant is his son-in-law. Yeah, because he married his daughter. Oh, and by the way, David Tennant gave Peter Davison 5 grandkids. I'm like, in my opinion, good job. You made Peter Davison very happy by making his daughter very happy. Which they actually met in the episode The Doctor's Daughter. Which is quite interesting. Now, the next time next one I have on here is 2 episodes from Matt Smith's era. Closing Time and Nightmare and Silver. Nightmare and Silver was cool, I'll get to that one. Closing Time, this one's interesting because this is actually the first appearance of the regular in-universe Cybermen. Because if you're curious though, when's next time the old universe Cybermen show up? They show up in the next Doctor, which is a Christmas special. I think it was actually the start of the first of the 4 specials that aired between Series 4 and 5 before the start of Matt Smith's run. Closing Time is not that good of an episode for Cybermen. I'm not really sure why the only reason why I think they included it in here because it's the actual in-universe Cybermen who look like the regular Cybermen from the old universe. The only difference is about these particular Cybermen, they don't have the C mark on them. Nope, they're not there. Not at all. Which you're probably like, really? Yeah, really. Also, this is something I'm going to look up online, though. You might find this interesting, though, about the Cybermen. The two Cyberman stories, this one related to the 11th Doctor. 2 out of 3 stories they actually appear in. For 10th Doctor, 2 out of 5. Yes, 2 out of 5. Though they don't have the other 2 for 12th Doctor. Yeah. Though where these universe Cybermen end up, they have underground. Apparently they've been on the planet for over 100 years, and on top of their spaceship is what looks like to be a massive clothing store. It has an elevator goes right down the damn thing. Oh, and here's something. This is actually a follow-up to another story. Excuse me. Follow-up to one knows the Ledger. And this was Return of the Cybermats. Yes, this is the one of Return of the Cybermats, which, that's interesting. They're about the same size as they were in Classic Who. Later on, they became very tiny, which they did in the following one. This one is not very good, and it's not something that people tend to write home up when it comes to Doctor. I mean, aside from the fact you Return to the Cybermats and the Return of the Universe Cybermen, there's nothing really as interesting about this story. By the way, the Cybermen are defeated by a crying baby. I'm not kidding about that. That's seriously true. But Nightmare in Silver, really good, interesting one this one is. Of course, this is the one that has debut of this look of the Cybermen. The one you see on the cover of this DVD. Yeah, this actually is the first appearance of this look for the Cybermen. Now, this one is noteworthy to have a few different Easter eggs. One, there's actually Easter egg for Tomb of the Cybermen, the only classic Doctor Who story from the black and white era that actually is completely intact. There's a mention once again of the Cybertronian War, first time since Friends of the Cybermen. I mean, there's some minor Easter eggs here and there, but the interesting thing about this standalone episode, and you might find this interesting though, it is the second and to date the last episode of Doctor Who written by Neil Gaiman. Yes, Neil Gaiman wrote this one. So this time, at this point in time, now in the case of closing time, this is when Amy Pond Williams is part of the crew. In the case of this one, it's Clara, and she brings like 2 of her charge. Of course, she's a babysitter. This is before she became a teacher. And of course, brought to the future. And they apparently revealed that the ruler of the galaxy is actually some short guy who actually at one point proposes to Clara at the end of the story, and she says, no. And, well, then he goes home, obviously. Yes, this one is basically mostly like Neil Gaiman having nostalgia fest when it comes to Cybermen, which is perfectly fine. How to defeat the Cybermen originally to end the Cybertronian War was having to get trapped in a black hole of all things. Or at least they collapsed the whole freaking galaxy on them, which, yeah, that was interesting. And also the Cybermen do this thing where they shoot things in the gun and they have a catchphrase. Well, a memorable phrase. You have the Daleks say, exterminate, exterminate. The Cybermen say, delete, delete, delete. And they try to use one of the most interesting weapons. Like, apparently these Cybermen are completely unstoppable. Heck, not even gold stops them, which, that's interesting. Also, these Cybermen can fly. Yes, the Cybermen can frickin' fly. Yeah, they actually have it in this version. You can see on the cover here. Yeah, this is actually the first time we see the Cybermen actually fly, which becomes a staple of the Cybermen coming forward, I thought that was interesting. Yep. I mean, nothing else really memorable about this one. Well, this will also return to the Cyber Controller, which, that's interesting. I think this is the first time the Cyber Controllers actually appeared since Doom and the Cybermen. Yes. And a little fun fact about the Tomb of the Cybermen, this particular episode of the Cybermen was basically Matt Smith's inspiration for his interpretation of the Doctor. Yep, he had this particular thing where he wore a bow tie, which he has a character that bow ties are cool, and also he adapted something that the second Doctor was overdoing, occasionally wearing a fez. Yep. Next one is interesting, this one. Okay, like in the case of Nightmare in Silver, this one's got Easter eggs, like a lot of them. And it's the first one associated with, well, this one, they revealed this mysterious woman, played by Mr. Gomez. It's revealed at the end of part 1 of the story that she's actually the Master. Which we're thinking, the Master woman? Interesting. Well, it wasn't around very long. No, not really. This also is a culmination of the relationship of the Doctor and Danny Pink. Well, Clara and Danny Pink, excuse me. where Clara tells him he loves him, and of course then, well, then he gets run over by a truck, and then of course they try to bring him back to life, and they go to this mysterious place, which turns to be on Earth, which I thought this was really weird, and yeah, one of the place he's sent to was quite interesting, and you're probably thinking, really? Oh yeah, really? Yeah, the place Danny Pink is sent to, his body is sent to this funeral home, which is basically, I think it's the, let's see, it's this particular one is named after the companion of the first Doctor. If I can get to him here, let's see here. Yeah, there's actually a. Let's see here. Here we go. Okay, here she is. Found it. Dodo Chaplet. Yeah, there's actually a funeral home named after her. Yeah, it's a funeral home that Danny Pink is sent to. Yep, this is indeed true. And they decided to name. This is actually Easter egg to her. Dodo was played by Jackie Lane, which she's still alive. She had this sort of, from what I can tell, very bumbling attitude, where she's kind of, how should I put this? She was kind of there, and she was around for a brief period of time. That she basically, her last appearance was in the War Machines, which is the introduction to Ben and Polly. Yep. And of course, Steven Tyler, who was in this particular one, he one point left, and he came back because apparently people went crazy. Dodo decided to stay behind just cause. Yes. Now, the place where they end up was quite interesting. Okay, so they kind of basically, this whole thing about hearing people on their side like, "Don't wake me up, they'll burn me," whatever. I thought that was kind of weird. So basically, they go into this mysterious, like, I don't know, this wake, whatever, they view these skeletons. And the skeletons move, but then the tank's water basically dissipates later on. This is, of course, after they reveal the Master is, of course, well, Missy is, of course, the Master. This is after, of course, she kisses the Doctor, which, and of course, she tries to do as a Clara, and he's like, "No, I think I'll pass." Imagine seeing a woman like Melissa Gomez basically try to kiss Jenna Coleman. Melissa Gomez, I think she's pushing 50 right now. She is 54 right now. Mm-hmm. This episode actually aired back in 2014. Yeah, Jenna Coleman currently is 35. So, I bet, yeah, I think it's probably for her perspective, like, yeah, not be kissed by a woman who's actually 20 years older than you probably was a good thing. So, and then of course, then one of the most interesting happened, like right after they revealed Missy is the Master, and then like they start draining the water in these tanks with these skeletons, and apparently it's like a see-through water, and then they reveal what these skeletons are, and the Doctor's like, "Cybermen!" He says like, "Oh crap, it's a freaking Cyberman," and he goes outside, and it's St. Paul's Cathedral, the same place they went to in the invasion. Okay, really cool. And then, of course, you have them walking around, and they're like, "Oh crap, is this an invasion?" And they're like, "No," but basically people just taking pictures. And then Kate Stewart shows up. Yes, Kate Stewart showed up first in Power of Three. Yeah, she's a daughter in show of Brigadier Alistair Gordon Lethbridge Stewart. She referred to as Kate Stewart because she didn't want the other part of the last name. The reason is because she wants special treatment. She basically is the lead scientific advisor for UNIT. And she's like, "Oh yeah, we're not impressed with your technology." And then she throws the ground right in front of the Cyberman, a Cyberman head from the invasion story. Which, Okay, I get how the unit would get that, because they probably kept the bodies of the Cybermen after they killed them back in that particular one. And of course, oh yeah, by the way, how the Cybermen got these skeletons is quite interesting to say the least. Oh yeah, by the water, so like a see-through water. Now here's the thing. Apparently Missy had the Cybermen cybernize corpses. Yes, corpses. That's why the two parts called Dark Water and Death in Heaven. And they also reveal, this is quite interesting. They reveal this later on. They also have this thing where the Doctor is proclaimed the President of Earth, which that's interesting. Well, that was until like they use an air, and then the plane gets shot down by Cybermen, and of course Kate falls out, but then she's saved by her father, the Brigadier, who's turned into a Cyberman. I'm like, really, Moffat? Really? You turn a beloved companion into a Cyberman? Man, you turned Danny Pink. Okay, fine. He was a new character. But the Brigadier? Why the heck would you turn him to a frickin' Cyberman? Yeah, they reveal this basically because he saved, well, her life. And Danny Pink takes command of the Cyberman later on after Missy relinquishes control. And then they all basically explode, saving the planet. Missy, of course, apparently is vaporized by the Doctor. Actually, she's apparently killed by the Brigadier, which I'm sure, like, hello. It would be like the way it was back in Five Doctors, where the Brigadier's like, love to see you again, and he punches him right in the face, which I can't wait to discuss because I love Five Doctors, such an amazing story. Yep. I thought this one was quite interesting to watch, initially when it aired 6 years ago. Yeah, this two-parter was actually really good. And this actually ended Peter Capaldi's first year as a Doctor. Though they didn't appear again until the end of series, I think this was series 8. They appeared again on series 10, which led to his regeneration. Now, those are really good stories. Closing Head was not that good, by the way. The only thing good about that one is some cool stuff related to the Cyberman himself, but the story, not that interesting. And they have this as a bonus feature on here. They have Earthshock. Yes, Earthshock, which was at the time the first appearance of the Cybermen in 8 years. First time since this episode. Yes. Now, this is, of course, Peter Davison. And his companions this time are Tegan, Nessa, and Astric. I think it's... Well, he's the companion who has been described as one of the most annoying companions in the history of Doctor Who. Adric. Yes. Adric, played by Matthew Waterhouse. This guy is commonly referred to as Doctor Who's version of Wesley Crusher. Yeah. This is his last appearance in the show. And apparently the Cybermen are in control of this cyber ship. And this story aired, back in 1982, obviously. This was a 4-parter. Back in season 19 of the show. Yep. So, with this one, the Doctor and the crew end up on a cargo ship. And the captain of that ship, who was an older woman, it's like, yeah, I need to leave right away because I don't want to miss my bonus. I'm like, really? You don't want to miss your bonus? Okay, fine. You're really that much of a hurry. And at one point, she didn't notice that the Cybermen on board till Doctor put it yeah. And then she's like, friends of yours? He's like, no, not friends of mine. And of course, the Cybermen take control of the ship, and then the Cybermen take partially. This also is the first time the Cybermen actually stepped on board the TARDIS. Yes. Yeah, the first and only time ever in the history of Doctor Who where the Cybermen had ever stepped foot on the TARDIS itself. Anybody thinking, wait, this is the first time? Not any other time before this? Yes, that's not a joke. Also, we see Adric give Doctor his little star he wears. He's wearing it since his debut. Got some gold in it. And the Cyber leader, well, he wants to use this thing to destroy humanity on Earth. for reasons. He wanted to destroy the dinosaurs, though the spaceship apparently is used to destroy, well, it caused the start of the human race for some reason. And apparently Adric remembers some equations like, oh, I don't know if I got it right or not, and the ship explodes, effectively killing him, making him at the time the first companion to die since one of the first Doctor's companions. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the last one officially to actually get killed off here. Part of this. Yeah. Let's see if we can find him here. It was, there's a couple of them. One who died basically shoving herself into space. It was Katrina. Yes, Katrina. She, of course, only appeared just for a quick two-parter. Yeah, she was the first one since Sarah Kingdom, who is played by John Pertwee's ex-wife, Jean Marsh. Mm-hmm. Yes. And she was the first one since her. He was the first one since her. About 20 years prior to this episode to die. And from what I heard, Matthew Warden himself has stayed far away from the Doctor Who franchise since then. Especially in how unpopular he was. Oh, and right after Edric died, Doc takes his star and shoves it into the chest of the Cyber Leader, effectively killing him. Yep. But in the case of this one, this actually is a pretty interesting one, but not my personal favorite when it comes to Cybermen stories. Excuse me, for Classic Who. Is a better version of Cybermen? In my opinion, yes, it's definitely better than that one. I wouldn't say Rage of Cybermen is a terrible story, it's kind of a weird one. Though Earthshock did something interesting, though, about its Cybermen. Where the look of this Cyberman did not change for the next two stories. Yeah, they kept this particular look about the Cybermen. Yep. They actually kept this look. By the way, here's a picture of Peter Davison, the Fifth Doctor, who is still the father-in-law of David Tennison, because he's married to Peter Davison's daughter, and of course they got 5 kids. Yep. Yes. Now I was very happy they threw in Earthshock because I love the story. It may not be one of my top favorite Cybermen stories, but I love the story. It's just a purely good story to watch. And when they did the whole Doctor Revisit thing, I was so happy they included this one, because it's just a really good story. It's only 4 episodes. Isn't it interesting, though, that a lot of Cybermen stories are really short? Like, if you look at, let's say, like a lot of the Cybermen stories from this era for Doctor Who, the classic era, I mean, heck, their debut was basically 4 episodes. Yeah, look at this. Earthshock, 4 episodes. Moonbase, which was a second appearance, 4 episodes. Wheel in Space, which is 6 episodes. 1 of 2. Yes, this is 1 of 2. The Fallen Invasion is all 6 episodes as well. But the rest, 4 standalone. Attack of the Cybermen was a 2-part because they're in a period of like an hour-long episode. Silver Nemesis, the shortest, at only 3 episodes. Yeah, surprisingly, only 2 were really long. But a lot of these ones are really short, probably because, well, it was probably expensive, basically, to have the Cybermen around. And 2, the suits are probably pretty heavy. Yep. But yeah, not much else to say about these Cybermen stories. I would say, definitely, now, Earthshock is a classic. It's a good story. I would probably say, if you want to think of my personal favorite, like, I would say definitely in my top 5 favorite Cybermen stories, The Invasion ranks up as one of them. Definitely that one. Along with Attack of the Cybermen, I love that one too. And Tomb of the Cybermen. Those 3 basically rank up there. Earthshock, I would say just below that, but definitely rank in the top 2. There isn't that many Cybermen stories, surprisingly. But I would definitely rank Earthshock in the top 10, but not in the top 5. Yep. So yeah, that's it for Stick Love You. My next view is a Comic Corner. we're discussing two trades. Aquaman! Yes, Aquaman! Who we thought we would discuss this character again, okay? Think we do. Bye.